Pass the gravy, Dad. And please, don't make this about you. How abusive to speak like that. Anger is a poison we drink hoping it will affect others. Is this really the case? I am Michael Whitman, 73, and for most of my life, I tried to buy peace with patience and polished floors. What I wanted sounded childish when said plainly: to be valued without bargaining away my dignity, to belong without being necessary, to hold the keys to my own hours. If this story is resonating with you, if you can feel that tension in your own chest, I have a small request. Follow the channel. It's not just a click, it's a signal. It's you telling me, keep going. Bring me more of this. Every single follow is a push that helps me continue to find and share stories that aren't just told, they're felt. Stories that truly stay with us. Now, where was I? Ah, yes. Daniel, my son, 41, lately fluent in borrowed certainties, lifted his wine glass like a municipal gavel. We took a vote, he said, soft for the room and sharp for me. You're not family anymore. Please leave our house. Our house. The pronoun waddled across the table wearing my slippers. Vanessa aligned her cutlery with museum care, a curated smile pinned where a conscience might go. Guests paused mid-bite. The chandelier made a tired little hum, the sound old electricity makes when it's about to meet a better path. I placed the carving fork down gently. Is that so? I said, not a question. I have learned that men my age are offered questions only if we're preparing to apologize for existing. That was not my plan. I offered a brown folder across the linen like a small raft in bright water. Then take this, Don, a parting gift. He glanced, expecting sentiment. He found paper with teeth. No adjectives, only law. The sound he made scraped the wood ceiling. Vanessa leaned in, hunting for a loophole hiding under a preposition. There was none. People assumed the scene was the end of me. It was the first tile in a long, clean line of dominoes. I closed my bedroom door instead of slamming it. Doors remember tone. In the modest capsule of an old man-creaking bed frame, yellow lamp, a photo of Meg with 6-year-old Dan grinning gap. Toothed, I touched the glass. Meg had a smile that turned honesty into heat. I remembered who paid for the rungs on Daniel's ladder. The memory steadied me. I called Sal. Talk to me like you're measuring, he said when he picked up. I've been measured, I answered. Tonight I measure back. Salvatore Castillo, retired engineer turned attorney, drafts arguments like load-bearing walls. No decoration, only the physics of proof. We met the next morning at the Watchung Tap, where varnish tastes faintly like nostalgia and the pretzels are religion. I laid out the situation like a tool roll, a self-paying condo in iron-bound bleeding cash. A new lock on my side door that squeaked. I had taught the old one not to. Late cards with my name smuggled under family emergencies. Whispers of guardianship seated among cousins. A curated compassion that kept showing up as invoices. Sal's eyes did what good eyes do. Stabilized the air. They raised their hand, he said finally. You raise a document. No fury, just framing. Framing, I repeated. It felt like a level held against a crooked wall. It felt like a level that likhet lagemude devil and vervalis. Maneuvervalis. Ere kenenev. We will build a line of paper so straight, he added, that even their confusion walks it. That night, I stopped being the man who absorbed. I became the man who chooses. The difference looks small from a distance and enormous in the mirror. The process. In the order it happened, and the order it mattered. Document 1. Revocation of old powers. We started by slitting the quiet throats of outdated papers. Over the years I had signed emergency powers of attorney because it felt like love to make yourself convenient. Sal slid the revocations across oak. I signed with the steadiness of someone switching off a gas valve. He notarized on the spot. The stamp made a satisfying thud, like a heart deciding on a better beat. Strategy behind it. Old men aren't ruined by strangers. They're ruined by signatures. I took mine back. Document 2. Capacity letter guardianship talk metastasizes fastest in rumor. We inoculated with a neuropsych evaluation scheduled by Sal's geriatrician friend. Dr. Gupta sharp as a tack, kinder than aspirin. I passed the test soberly. No heroics. Recall, orientation, calculations, a clock drawn with numbers in their proper homes. Dr. Gupta wrote what needed writing. Mr. Whitman possesses full decisional capacity. Sal tucked the letter into the binder's first sleeve like a passport. Strategy behind it. And their favorite story. Confused old man. Before opening night. Document 3. Living trust. The Whitman House Trust. We moved the house from my vulnerable pocket to a structure that doesn't listen to tantrums. I was settler and sole trustee. Successor trustees named in a chain. First Sal for the short bridge, then the bank's trust department for the long road. We attached Exhibit A, legal description of the property with its fussy measurements, thence 120.00 feet to a point, and even the typo from 1978 that had always made Meg smile. Strategy behind it. Make my home a noun no one else can conjugate. Document 4. Deed of transfer. We recorded a quitclaim deed transferring title from Michael Whitman, individual, to Michael Whitman, trustee of the Whitman House Trust, dated and notarized. Sal filed with the county clerk after a title search that turned up the odd lien rumor, but no liens. The stamped copy, fresh and official, went into the binder. This, Sal said, tapping the margin, is oxygen. Without it, their fire won't catch. Strategy behind it. County ink beats dinner theater. Document 5. Will restated Meg's name deserved a job. We restated my will to pour the house's ultimate proceeds into the Margaret Whitman Foundation. Scholarships for first-generation students at the county college. Cash and accounts got a sequence that made sense to who I am now. Not who I had been when I was trying to be loved by paperwork. Your legacy is a verb, Sal said. Let it act. Strategy behind it. Aim whatever remains at a future that isn't a couch. Document 6. Beneficiary and pay on death updates. Institutions like to pretend updating a form is a rite of passage. We did them anyway. Bank accounts with pay on death designations aligning to the foundation. The emergency fund to me alone while I breathe. Insurance? Consolidated. Beneficiary corrected. Each call recorded in Sal's notes with names and timestamps as if we were mapping an unfamiliar coastline. Strategy behind it. Close the side doors so no one can sneak in with a smile. Document 7. Joint account freeze. The lingering joint account. The one Daniel treated like an eternal socket of cash was frozen with the bank manager frowning in humanitarian italics. Sal's voice softened to iron. Fiduciary risk, Ms. Alvarez. We prefer to be preemptive. A hold was placed pending internal review. When Daniel discovered it, my phone filled with phrases like betrayal and after all I've done, none of which included numbers or dates. Strategy behind it. Turn the faucet off before the lecture on water. Document 8. Notice to vacate 30 days. Written on letterhead. Trustee, Whitman House Trust. Cited state shoot. Certified mail. Return receipt requested. A duplicate in a brown envelope for the Christmas table, because theater demands props. Strategy behind it. Clarity loves a deadline. Document 9. Evidence chain of custody. I don't believe in secret recordings as entertainment. I do believe in memory that doesn't lie. The recorder sat on the bookcase legal because I was present. Vanessa. He's old, vulnerable. We'll find something cheap for him. Daniel. The house is ours now. I cataloged the file. Date, time, device, 2 duplicate backups labeled and sealed. Printed a transcript. Sal smiled a rare smile. You didn't sharpen knives, he said. You stacked bricks. Strategy behind it. Don't let them rename what they did. The hearing that almost was rumor ripened in the paperwork. A petition for guardianship drafted by a strip mall attorney in Clifton who uses italics as if they were evidence. The petition leaned on adjectives and anecdotes. It described me as erratic, forgetful, prone to impulsive decisions, and susceptible to influence. The last one cruel enough to be funny. Sal and I rehearsed in his conference room amid a civilized smell of coffee and cold wind. He put a yellow legal pad between us, a metronome for truth. Answer only what they ask, he said. Short, factual. An answer is not a seminar. If they insult you, don't collect it. Collect? I asked. Some insults look like coupons, he said. Worthless, but you still hoard them. We built a timeline on index cards. Date of trust, date of deed, bank freeze, notice to vacate, capacity letter. We attached exhibits with tabs so neat an army would salute them. Day of. The courthouse hallway hummed with other people's emergencies. Our assigned courtroom smelled like paper and patience. The judge was the kind of woman who has learned to separate volume from verity. Vanessa arrived in a dignified coat and a pair of statements disguised as earrings. Daniel wore the past as a tie. Their lawyer began by calling me Dad, as if that were my legal name. Your Honor, she said, we're simply trying to protect the confused senior. She gestured with earnest hands. He's being manipulated. By whom? The judge asked. By Mr. Costello, she said, pointing toward Sal with a smile meant to unnerve. Sal blinked slowly, an old lizard sunning himself on a rock of case law. We produced the capacity letter. We produced the trust, the deed, the will, the bank notices, the return receipts. Sal's questions to me were so boring they sounded like integrity. Mr. Whitman, when did you execute this trust? September 14th. I will notarize the deed. Miss Calder at the clerk's office. Who pays your bills? I do, by autopay and occasional check. Here are copies. He nodded as if I described a chair. Their attorney tried pathos. Sir, is it true you sometimes leave lights on? Not since the 70s, I said, because honesty didn't require humiliation. A thin smile traveled across the judge's mouth and vanished like a well-kept secret. Then came the recording. Sal did not play it. He offered it, transcript attached. The judge scanned. She did not look at me. She looked at the petitioners. Silence did what it does when truth is finally present. It sat in the chair and refused to leave. Petition denied. The signature scratched like satisfaction kept quiet. Outside, Vanessa hissed. You planned this. I planned not to be erased, I said. That's different. Daniel's eyes were wet in a way that suggested grief had finally been invited in without champagne. Dad, coffee, I said. Only the coffee. He nodded, a gesture heavy with unpracticed humility. What you don't see unless you live it. The strategy of not reacting, Sal taught me the kind of martial art that leaves the opponent too tired to lie. Rule 1. Don't chase. When Daniel sent texts at 1:13 a mas, you ruined Christmas, followed by call me now, I did not defend. I slept and answered at 9:05 a.m. with a single sentence. The same one each time. If you want to talk, I'm available between 10 and 11 at the bakery. Repetition is its own boundary. Rule 2. Don't educate. I did not explain trusts as if classroom would cure character. The documents stand, I said, whenever explanation tried to seduce me. Rule 3. Don't triangulate. When Linda called to say Anthony said that Vanessa heard that Daniel was worried I'd fall for a scam, I did not correct the rumor's genealogy. Tell Anthony I hope his gout is better, I said. Lightness is heavy armor. Rule 4. Put every significant communication in writing. Conversations ended with emails that began to confirm today's discussion. Not for drama, for memory. Rule 5. Deadlines are not threats. They are hygiene. 30 days meant 30 days. When day 30 arrived, I did not sniff the air for contrition. I filed the motion for possession and scheduled the sheriff with the efficiency of laundry. Secondary dramas. Who whispered what, and why it mattered less than they hoped. Linda, my sister. She called it dusk, practicing briskness. It looks harsh, Michael. It looks accurate, I said. I just want fairness. So do I. You know what I mean. I do, I said. You want arithmetic that forgives feelings. That's not untrue, she said. What I love about my sister, her stubborn honesty can be a door if you wait. I'm afraid, she added quietly, that we'll be the family who let a son drift into being that person. We already are, I said. Now we can be the family who didn't subsidize it. We met at a diner that had survived 4 owners and 2 recessions. She slid a manila folder across to me photocopies of texts Vanessa had sent her, seeding the guardianship narrative. He wanders, he forgets, he repeats. Linda had circled timestamps like a detective. She sent these while you were meeting with Dr. Gupta, she said. The same hour. She breathed down. I don't like your methods, but I like the math. We reached a truce built of 2 sentences. Hers, promise not to punish him with money. Mine, promise not to bribe him with pity. We shook hands like rookies. Anthony, brother-in-law, he believes in rule books the way some men believe in saints. He left 3 voicemails in a single afternoon. As a neutral party, he began, which always means the next sentence won't be neutral. You could avoid trouble by agreeing to a voluntary oversight arrangement. He meant a leash. I'll draft a memorandum of understanding, he said, excited by the phrase. No, thanks, I said. I'm already understood. He was more offended by my refusal of his paperwork than by Daniel's trespasses. That told me everything I needed. Cousins and the group chat. Somewhere in the extended family group chat, digitally perfumed with birthday cakes and prayer hands, Vanessa planted the phrase, elder neglect self, a mystical condition where an old man abuses himself by making choices his heirs dislike. Screenshots reached me via Sarah with the speed of friendship. A cousin wrote, we should support Dan during this terrifying time caring for an unstable parent. Another, Michael's always been stubborn. And my favorite, from a man who has never met a boundary he didn't mistake for a dare. If only Meg were alive. We could say that about anything. I did not join the chat. I printed the thread, labeled it noise, and slid it behind a clean stack of facts. Later, when a cousin phoned to ask if I needed placement, I declined his generosity, then asked gently whether his roof still leaked. He hung up. Neighbors. Montclair neighbors are connoisseurs of tasteful scandal. Mrs. Rhodes, who trims her hydrangeas like bonsai and her gossip like Bond's mods, cornered me by my recycling bins. We're all so worried, she said in a tone designed for casseroles. For what? I asked. That you'll be, she searched, taken advantage of. I have been, I said. I stopped. She blinked. She needed a villain to reduce her discomfort. I did not audition. Vanessa and her mother. I did not attend their kitchen summits. But the transcripts arrived through the grapevine mothers of friends, hairdressers, shared Pilates instructors. He's unsafe, Vanessa told her mother, her voice lacquered with virtuous fear. We'll find him something affordable. Her mother used words like sacrifice and duty. When asked who would pay for the affordable, there was a small, elegant silence. Later, a mutual acquaintance reported that Vanessa had added advocacy to her social biography and started posting quotes in a font that looks expensive. She included a photo of a porch swing captioned, "Boundaries are love." I approved of the sentence and ignored the source. Daniel, and his friends. He held court at a craft brewery that names beers after consequences. Alimony Amber, Deadbolt Double IPA. He told his friends I'd fallen under the spell of a predatory attorney. When Detective Justice, their term for a motorcycle and a law podcast, failed to appear. One friend said something Daniel must have felt like a slap. Bro, if your dad is that easy to manipulate, why did he raise you smarter? That friend later DM'd me to apologize for nothing. I thanked him anyway. Backstage with Sal, what winning quietly costs and saves. Sal likes plans you can fold, carry, and execute while under mild attack. In his office, he arranged paper clips like chess pieces while we ran drills. Tell me again what you want, he said. To be valued without bargaining away my dignity, I said. To belong without being necessary. To have real control over my life. Good, he said. None of that will fit in a pleading, but it will fit in how you hold yourself. He coached posture. Sit so your back tells the room your mind is present. He coached breath. People who are lying inhale at the wrong time. People who are angry exhale like they're arguing with oxygen. Just breathe. He coached language. No metaphors in court. Save poetry for your notebook. On the record, nouns and dates. Even when they smear? I asked. Especially then, he said. Mud refuses to stick to calendar entries. We ran through what-ifs. What if the judge asked whether cutting off access was cruel? Say, it was necessary. What if Vanessa cried? Be a window, not a mirror. What if Daniel apologized in front of everyone? Say, thank you, not finally. What if they stormed out? Sit still. Sal also taught me a peculiar art, preparing to forgive without making forgiveness a currency. Picture it, he said. The coffee you promised him. Practice the sentence you'll use if he asks for money. I practiced. I can meet you for coffee. I can't fund your life. Over and over until it felt like furniture in my mouth. One evening, after we set the notarization schedule, Sal looked tired in a way that comes from pulling other people's chaos into order. You know, he said, if you hadn't come when you did, they would have papered you into a corner. I know, I said. Most men come too late, he added. I almost did, I said. He nodded, then stacked the documents into the binder he'd chosen. Black, humble, indestructible. This is your spine when yours gets tired, he said. Carry it when you must, but learn to stand without it. Enforcement, the part everyone calls cruel, because it worked day 30, arrived like a calendar that doesn't care about feelings. I had already filed for possession to enforce the notice to vacate in case heroics attempted squatting. Sheriff's Department scheduled, January 19th, 10 a.m. The deputy who called sounded bored, which is the tone I trust most in public servants. If they're gone, we'll just verify, he said. If they're not, we'll invite them to be. They were gone. The superintendent slid a note under my door that morning. Keys on counter. Lock changed. Sorry about the squeak. Squeak. Proof Vanessa believes surface is structure. The house echoed, not empty. Echoing. There is a difference. Echo is sound remembering where it once lived. I walked room by room with a clipboard, like a superintendent of my own past. Daniel had taken the designer throw. Vanessa had left behind a vase that looked expensive and felt fragile, which struck me as a product review of our entire conflict. In the closet, a shoebox labeled receipts held the receipts of my time. I took the box. The rest, I left for the broker to stage or discard. Paul, the broker Meg had once called, a gentleman in a tie, brought a young family with starry rainbow daughters who auditioned the holes by running. The parents asked about gutters, porches, the temperament of the basement. We told the truth. Downspout sulks in heavy rain. Second floor window sticks in August. The avocado pit I planted in 1999 produced exactly one fruit out of spite and has earned my respect ever since. We signed without a ribbon. Proceeds flowed as designed, into the foundation, into my modest Hoboken apartment, into sleep. Temporary alliances, how people try on sides like coats after the hearing evaporated. Alliances shifted like lawn chairs in wind. Linda and Anthony came by just to see the house before it goes, which meant to verify the myth inventory. They brought muffins like tributes and advice like taxes. "You should forgive," Linda said on the porch. "I am forgiving," I said. "I'm not forgetting my name." Anthony, eyes on the molding, said, "Rules exist for this." He meant inheritance norms that make everyone equally unhappy. "I have a new rule," I said. "I fund futures, not appetites." "Sharp," he said, somehow compliment and complaint. Two cousins, Pauline and Rick, suddenly became attentive. Pauline invited me to a small backyard fire. Rick offered to help me organize all that paperwork. I asked both, separately, if Daniel had contacted them in the last 48 hours. Their faces did matching math before landing on no. I brought bread to Pauline's fire and declined Rick's help with a warm, "I'm all set." Within a day, both reverted to their normal orbit. Temporary alliances are weather events, dramatic on radar, forgettable in the yard. Vanessa attempted a coalition of respectable women neighbors, an aunt who collects awards, the Pilates studio group. Their group text leaked like every boat named Righteousness. "We cannot abandon Michael," one typed. "We must redirect him," Vanessa corrected, the italics audible. The aunt wrote something spiritual and unhelpful. The Pilates instructor posted a flexible photo. The only actionable item was a plan to tour assisted living options, which would have been funny if rooms weren't involved. The tour never happened. Coalitions built of captions dissolve in weather. Daniel tried a one-man coalition, himself with himself. He sent a single long email with subject line, "A path forward," which contained familiar architecture, my money, his management, our silence. I replied with 6 words, "Thank you for writing. Coffee still stands." Hoboken post-vindication isn't bliss. Its clearance moving to Hoboken wasn't running away. It was deciding that proximity is not a synonym for love. The apartment, small, honest, with windows that accept light like a kindness. Late winter turned the river to beaten silver and made Manhattan across it blush with its own audacity. I unpacked slowly. Lamp, 2 mugs, Meg's scarf still smelling faintly of soap. The photo of Daniel at 6 milk teeth, crook cap, boy both present and missing. I wrote to him at a new table that didn't yet know my palm. "I spent years searching for the one Sunday I failed you. Maybe it was many. Maybe it was every yes that should have been no. You chose the shortcut. I choose sleep. I forgive you because hauling your absence would be heavier than losing your approval. Don't look for money. Look for meaning. If you want coffee someday, Washington Street has a good bakery. I'll buy the coffee, only the coffee. Dad." I mailed it and refused to audition for its ending. He texted 2 weeks later. Wednesday 10? He didn't show. I drank both coffees. The second went cold. A small tragedy with no funeral. He texted, "Something came up." I replied, "Understood." Understood is a bridge word. It reaches without kneeling. He came the next week, late by 2 honest minutes. He apologized to the person who had been waiting, which in our family is a breakthrough. We did not negotiate history. We discussed whether like men earning their mornings. He reached for his wallet at the end and the gesture was enough. First time, he paid the next time. We made no vows. Men our age are best at habits. The foundation revenge that pays someone else's tuition. Proceeds from the house arrived as numbers with little personalities. Sal and I created the Margaret Whitman Foundation account, drafted simple bylaws, and asked the county college for a list of first-generation applicants whose essays sounded like engines that wanted to run. A young woman wrote, "Clean isn't the opposite of dirty. It's the opposite of careless. A young man typed about a lawnmower rebuilt on a kitchen floor. The first cough of the engine, like a promise keeping itself. A mother of two wrote about dental hygiene as the job where you hold fear in one hand and gentleness in the other. Meg would have underlined that. We funded 3, then 5. I sat in the back of the college auditorium during a small ceremony that looked like hope, pretending not to make a fuss. I made no speech. I don't want applause anywhere near what this is. When I got home, I labeled a shoebox Meg's Voices. Into it, I put every thank you note, every program, every scrap of paper that proved the house had learned a better verb. On some nights when silence feels like a test, I take one out and read it aloud. The kettle applauds behind me. The city blinks approval. Enough is shelter. A longer legal coda because you asked for each step until the door clicked after the sale. The title company mailed the final settlement statement. I read it like a haiku in numbers. Credits, debits, payoff amounts. I kept 3 copies. One in the binder, one in the safe deposit box, one in the plastic sleeve with "For Sarah, if something happens" written on it. Sal smiled at that last label. If you ever run for office, he said, run on competence. Daniel's iron-bound condo, his investment, lingered on the market with the kind of staging that makes you think the bed never held sleep. He sent me the link as if price reductions could serve as apologies. Think it'll move? He asked. It will move when you stop lying to the next buyer, I wrote back. Truth lowers price and raises sleep. He answered. So that's a no. It's a sentence, I replied. The yes or no belongs to you. Vanessa's attorney sent a letter labeled demand, alleging intentional infliction of emotional distress. It read like a brochure for dramatics. Sal returned a packet. Timeline, exhibits, the audio transcript, a polite invitation to count. The letter died of embarrassment somewhere between their inbox and their pride. I met once more with Dr. Gupta for an annual check. She asked me to draw a clock again. I drew the circle, placed the numbers like chairs where people could sit, drew hands at 11:10. On time, she said. How are you sleeping? Like a man who owns his hours, I said. Second Christmas, not redemption. Just practice snow arranged itself on railings. I ironed Meg's white tablecloth and set it on my small Hoboken table because ritual protects sanity. I invited Sarah. I invited Paul, now a friend in his tireless incarnations. I invited Mrs. Jenkins from 3B and her basil plant and the nurse, who works nights, and the man with the small dog whose name keeps outrunning me. Midway through soup that tasted like patience, a knock. Daniel stood there, alone, hatless, cheeks red from corrective weather. May I? He asked. Yes, I said. He ate without theatrics. He looked at the tablecloth as if it had a story to tell him. Mom loved this one. She did, I said. She loved anything that asked people to be careful. He put a photo on the table, him at 6 with Meg, the same photo I keep by the kettle. I made you a copy, he said, for the kitchen. Thank you, I said. Place it by the kettle. He did. Then, I'm sorry, he said finally, for the vote, for the show, for making you into a problem I could solve instead of a person I could love. Thank you, I said. I didn't say. I waited. Waiting confuses itself with virtue. Practice, not penance, is what we needed. Coffee next week? He asked. Coffee, I said. Only the coffee. He came. He has come more often than he has not. He asks for time, not money. On the days he is late, he apologizes to the person who was waiting. On the days he's on time, he orders first and remembers my tea. He tells me he's selling the ironbound condo for less than his pride prefers. The truth is heavy, he says, but it holds. I nod. We do not hug at the end because our generation believes in chairs and sentences and letting men leave rooms without witnesses. Vanessa? She lives near good lighting. She posts the word healing beneath a photo of a window. I scroll past and water my basil. If she grows, she grows. If not, it's not my weather. You wanted the dramas explained. Here is the map I drew when the noise became sentences. Daniel's motive: to rescue himself from the ache of ordinary by acquiring other people's work and calling it care. He's learning slowly that work is a better name for love. Vanessa's motive: to be right in public and safe in private at the same time. Reality took one of those away. She is shopping for a replacement and calling it peace. Linda's motive: fairness, even if it requires illusions to balance on. She now understands that accuracy is kinder than symmetry. Anthony's motive: order preferably written on letterhead. He has learned the world runs on norms, not only rules, and norms can be noble or cruel. He's become kinder to kettles and, by extension, to me. Sarah's motive: loyalty without lie. She succeeds daily. Sal's motive: to make losing impossible by designing a path that refuses drama. He has earned every penny and my quiet gratitude. My motive: to say no so cleanly that any yes means something again. What I keep: in a notebook with a cover that looks like the sky finally calmed. I keep a running list titled What's Worth Keeping. I add a line when it survives a season. Photographs that don't apologize, friends who call without a receipt, documents that don't need volume, the rare, featherlight kind of silence, a 6-year-old boy still alive inside a 41-year-old man. Meg's voice: enough is shelter. The house: I'm portable. Not for sale. I know I'm portable whenever yesterday knocks. If revenge is the wrong word, forgive me. It's the word people understand for a math they haven't had time to learn. What I did wasn't vengeance. It was architecture. We built a clean hallway. We hung doors that swing the right way. We fixed the hinges that were never meant to carry so much appeasement. We installed locks that tell the truth about who lives here. They carved the turkey. They carved me out. But knives are for food and boundaries are for people. I learned the difference late. I learned it well. At night, I no longer dream of locks. I dream of doors obeying their hinges, of rooms that hold only what fits, of a kettle that applauds quietly for its own reasons. On the window's dark glass, an old man looks back with relaxed shoulders. He seems like someone I'd like to talk to. So I do, in the low voice Meg loved. We made it, Mike, I tell him. We made it without losing ourselves. And the city experienced patient makes room for the story to sit at last, exact, with no wasted cuts. Thank you. Thank you for staying with me, for listening this far. Your attention is a rare and precious gift. These minutes you've spent here mean the world. And if this story meant something to you, if it touched you in some way, and you feel it might stay with you, then please do this for me. Follow the channel. Every follow, every subscription is more than a number. It's a silent pact. It's the fuel that allows me to keep bringing you stories that have depth, that have truth, that linger. Because in the end, it's stories that connect us. And I want to keep building this journey with you. Until next time.